Fluency. Everyone speaks about it. Everyone wants to have it. It sounds like the ultimate goal of learning a language. Why shouldn't it? But what is fluency really? Oxford Dictionary defines it as the quality of being able to speak or write a language, especially a foreign language, easily and well. Sounds vague, right? Fluency is one of the most misunderstood aspects of learning a language. And here's why. Fluency isn't just one thing. It's a combination of skills which make communication natural, smooth, and confident. In this video, we are going to uncover what fluency is, why it matters, and most importantly, we're about to clear up the biggest myth holding you back from reaching it. Let's get started. Let me guess. You think, in order to be fluent, I need to learn more words, more collocations, more idioms, more phrasal verbs. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but that is not what fluency is. Fluency isn't about knowing thousands of words. It's about knowing how to use the ones you already know efficiently. If you can use basic vocabulary to communicate your thoughts clearly, you're already on your way to fluency. Don't get me wrong, expanding your vocabulary will of course enrich your spoken and written language. It will make you more confident and able to support various conversations. But learning tons of phrases and idioms just for the sake of memorizing them will not make any difference if you don't understand how to use them. Let's face it, showing off the words that you don't fully understand sounds a bit Someone with a smaller vocabulary but who can actually ask for clarification, something like, "What do you mean?" or "Can you explain that?" will have an easier time keeping a conversation going than someone who knows complex words such as antiquated or discombobulated, but struggles to use them in context. Fluency is about using what you know to communicate smoothly, not just impressing people with big words. It's better to know how to use 1,000 words well than try to memorize 10,000 words that you never use. Let me start with an example. There are two students. One of them has a perfect grasp of grammar. Tenses are not a problem for her. All sorts of conditionals are a piece of cake. Even articles don't scare her. Can you believe that? But there is a problem. She can't speak. With everything I have just mentioned, she is afraid to go out there and communicate. Why? Because she doesn't feel what she knows is enough, and that insecurity holds her back. At this point, we are focusing more on building her confidence and self-esteem than on perfecting her English. Now, take another student. He mixes up past simple and present perfect tenses and couldn't care less about the difference between a and the. But guess what? That doesn't stop him from speaking. He communicates his ideas clearly and effectively, even with mistakes. Now, I'm not advocating for ignoring grammar here. My student is aware of his weaknesses and works on improving them. But he doesn't obsess over being perfect right away. Fluency means being able to get your point across, even if you make mistakes. It's about confidence and flow, not perfection. In fact, even native speakers don't use perfect grammar all the time, and it doesn't stop them from being fluent. So don't let fear of mistakes hold you back. Focus on expressing your ideas clearly and confidently. Do you hope if you speak faster, you will sound more fluent? While it's a tempting thought, the truth is the speed doesn't equal fluency. When I hear someone speaking really fast in my native language, I sometimes can't understand a word of it. It's just gibberish. They skip logical pauses, swallow sounds, and their words blur together. That doesn't come across as fluency to me. Fluency is about smooth, clear, and confident communication, not how quickly you can race through the sentence. Rushing doesn't help if no one understands you. So instead of focusing on speed, focus on clarity. Take your time to form your sentence and let your words flow naturally. Fluency isn't a race, it's about connection and understanding. This myth kind of flows from the previous one. For some reason, we may believe that pauses make us sound less fluent. But guess what? Native speakers pause all the time. They stop to think, organize their thoughts, and sometimes just to breathe. Fluency isn't about speaking in an endless stream of words. In fact, natural pauses can make your speech easier to follow. Imagine trying to explain something complex without pausing. It will be overwhelming both for you and for your listener. So don't stress about taking a moment to gather your thoughts. It might be a good idea to learn a couple of phrases to indicate you're pausing smoothly, such as, "Let me think for a moment. That's an interesting question. Well, what I mean is, let's see." Using these phrases gives you time to think while keeping the conversation flowing. Pausing isn't a flaw, it's a strategy for clear communication. Oh, how many times have I stopped my students from translating to and from English? While something may sound perfectly clear in your native language, chances are it will sound like gibberish when translated into English. Languages don't work the same way. You need to accept that and focus on expressing your ideas directly in English, even if they don't sound perfect. It works the same way when you listen to people speak English and try to translate everything to ensure your full understanding. But the effect may turn out the opposite. First of all, translating every single word slows you down, so chances are you will just lose the track of your interlocutor's thoughts. And secondly, as we have agreed, languages don't work in the same way. You may not even have the suitable phrase in your native language to convey the meaning properly. I have covered this topic deeper in one of my previous videos, and I highly recommend checking it out if you feel like translating while speaking is holding you back from a more natural conversation. Some people think that fluency is a talent. You are either born with it or you're not. But let me tell you a little secret. It's not true. Fluency isn't just a magical gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, it is something you build over time. Think about athletes or musicians. Were they incredible from day one? Of course not. They started small, practiced consistently, and improved step by step. Language fluency works the same way. Every fluent speaker you know, yes, every single one, was once a beginner. They struggled, they made mistakes, and they kept learning. Fluency is a journey, as cheesy as it sounds. And every bit of progress you make, no matter how small, is a step closer to your goal. So don't let this myth hold you back. Fluency is absolutely within your reach, as long as you keep showing up. Let's bust this right now. Fluency has nothing to do with how outgoing or talkative you are. In fact, introverts can be some of the best communicators. Why? Because they often prioritize meaningful and thoughtful conversations and put their effort into choosing the words they use. Fluency doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room. It's about expressing yourself effectively, but in your own style. So whether you are an extrovert who likes chatting or an introvert who chooses their words carefully, fluency is within your reach. Here are some practical tips to help you move towards fluency. As fluency is about communication, guess what? Practice speaking regularly. The more you speak, the more confident and fluent you become. Don't wait for the perfect moment or perfect grammar. Even if it's just a short conversation with a friend or talking to yourself in the mirror, it all helps. Find a language partner. Practice with someone who can give you constructive feedback, whether it's a friend, a tutor, or a language exchange partner. Speaking with someone else helps you stay motivated and improve faster. Listen actively. Fluency is about understanding others, so practice active listening by paying close attention to how native speakers use the language. Whether it's podcasts, movies, or conversations, expose yourself to real-life English regularly. Learn phrases, not just words. Learning vocabulary in chunks will help you express yourself more naturally and quickly without need for translation. Focus on chunks of language rather than individual words. Build your vocabulary gradually. As we have discussed, you don't need a huge vocabulary right away to be fluent. Start with the topics which are most relevant to your life or interests and build from there. Be patient and consistent. Remember, fluency is a skill you build over time. Stay consistent, celebrate your progress, even the smallest wins, and don't rush the process. Just keep practicing, and over time you will notice significant changes. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit notification bell so you never miss a tip. Keep practicing, stay patient, and you will get there. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.